Howdy. This is a video focused on the 6.0 WordPress release set to launch on May 24th, 2022. If you're wondering what's to come, how to prepare, and how each feature connects, you've come to the right place. Keep in mind that some of what's shown here will likely adjust slightly as bugs are found and fixed. This might include items being pushed to a future release, but with that in mind, let's dig in. So who are you? My name is Anne McCarthy. I'm a WordPress product liaison for Automatic and a co-release coordinator for WordPress 6.0. This basically means that I look across the release, ensuring that everything is running smoothly with my other co-release coordinator. So what can you expect from this video? So I always like to know what's going on, so I'm going to tell you. We'll start with a high-level overview of features before exploring each with quick demos, followed by some frequently asked questions, and ending with a look towards the future. So what's to come for 6.0? This is a visual at a glance, so you can quickly get a sense of everything, but let's go into some more details. So let's jump right in and talk at a high level about what's coming to 6.0. Starting with more template options to allow you to build more templates with even more blocks. So there's new blocks coming as well as expanded template options if you're used to using a block theme. You also will have access to style variations to really switch up the look and feel of your site if you're using a block theme. Keep in mind that a block theme has to adopt this feature, so expect this to be something that you might see depending upon the theme that you're using. Various writing improvements to ensure that creating content with WordPress continues to be easy. List view enhancements to make this new tool even more robust and useful when navigating complex content. A block locking UI to provide a visual way to manage locking down different blocks. More design and layout tools to continue to unlock new visual options. More patterns and more places to help folks build what they want faster. And finally, some block theme workflow improvements to continue down a no-code block theme path. So what are the benefits of this release? So for starters, this release will take all of the great new features, enhancements, and gains from Gutenberg 12.0 to 13.0, along with over 200 closed track issues. So at a super high level, this means over 400 updates, that's what the sparkle emoji is indicating, and over 500 bug fixes for a single release. So for some features like style variations and expanded template parts, you'll only be able to access them if you're using a block theme or the block theme has adopted it, or if you've begun adopting aspects of full siting. But whether you're using a block theme or not, though, there's a lot to look forward to in this release as these numbers show. So let's jump into each section that I shared below to get a better sense of the details. Before I go further, though, I want to shout out the WordPress community designers who been providing wonderful visuals for the Gutenberg release post. I've included many of them in this video, so it felt important to call out. And I also wanted to do that to further highlight the great work that they're doing, not just to design the beautiful interfaces, but to show off the value that they bring. So let's chat about some templates and the goodies that are to come. So to start, you'll see here in this visual that these are the new template options that you'll have access to. So specifically the author, category, date, tag, and taxonomy templates can now be all managed with the site editor. There are also various query block advancements, including being able to filter by multiple authors and having different taxonomy support. So if you're using WooCommerce, you can have products queried through the query loop block. There's also multiple different new blocks, including the read more block, a no results block in the query loop, which allows you to customize the no results view whenever you're using the query loop block. So let's say you have a query loop, but there are no posts for a specific author, you can actually customize the visual that you will see there. There's also the post author biography, the avatar block, and the comments block. Post author biography, as the name suggests, displays the post author, the avatar block displays the avatar, and the comments block, which is basically a suite of blocks, of child blocks that enable you to customize the layout and styles of the section directly from within the editor. So it's the comments query loop block is the overarching block similar to the query loop. And then from within there, you have everything from pagination to comment date and more. All of these are child blocks within it. This means you can edit directly each of these items to your liking. So let's take a look at one of the query loop block functionalities. So this is the query loop. I'm going to choose this here, scroll down, and you'll see I can switch it over to products. Boom, now it shows different products. I can also do product categories like full site editing, and you'll see they display there. So next up, we'll look at varying authors. So you scroll down and you'll see that I can actually filter by multiple authors, which is a new feature of the query loop block. So you can do Anzazu, which is my WordPress org username, Lucky13, boom, all of them can show there. So let's chat about style variations. So with WordPress 6.0, block themes will now be able to include the option to contain multiple style presets provided by the block theme authors. So this expands the new style system even further, allowing you to have shortcuts for switching up the look and feel of your site all within a single theme. These different style presets can change the settings available, like turning on and off font weight, as well as the style options, such as the default color palette. It basically allows you to have the experience of nearly multiple themes in one. Keep in mind that you have to use a theme that adds support for this new feature. So if you're a block theme author, consider this something to dive into. To get a sense of what this allows, here's a visual from Rich Tabor's Wabi theme that I highly recommend checking out. If I'm not mistaken, this was the first ever theme to adopt this feature back when it was only available if you used it alongside the Gutenberg plugin. But you'll see here all the different styles and options you can have all within a single theme. For another example, let's check out 2022, which will come built with variations in 6.0. This visual just shows off a few ideas. So if you're keen to give this a try, be sure to use 2022 with 6.0 to see what options are available. So these are not necessarily what's going to ship, but there will be a couple different style variations that you can choose between when 6.0 lands. Very cool. The pink one might be my favorite. Before going further, I wanted to have a brief note about the Webfonts API. So 6.0 will allow theme authors to use the web fonts in theme.json with a public API for plugins to register and queue web fonts available in a future version of WordPress. So this means that you can create different style variations with different fonts, but that if you are a plugin author, the public version of the API will not be available until a future release. Right now, there is basically a private version available inside theme.json. Stay tuned for more information as the Webfonts API will continue to develop in Gutenberg. I will drop a link with more information in the description below. Time for writing improvements. So writing improvements abound in this release, whether you're writing a new post or adding more buttons to a current page. I'm very excited about how much refinement this release brings. To dig in, you can now easily select text across multiple blocks and edit to your liking. You'll have access to a new link completer shortcut that opens up a list of internal items to select from. You can keep styles when transforming certain blocks one type to another, like a paragraph to a code block. You'll enjoy the new styles preview that cleans up the block styles section. When you create customized buttons and when you add additional ones, they will retain the style customizations of the existing ones without you needing to customize them too. Finally, you can set a featured image to be used as a cover block to create some pretty cool designs. So let's take a look at a few of these, starting with adding internal links. So it's a very simple shortcut. You'll see here, easy select things, pretty cool workflow enhancement. Next, check out how even with pretty intense customizations, the styling remains when transforming between certain blocks, like a paragraph to a list in this case. So we'll show this a few times, showing off how it stays. Pretty cool. So this might be my favorite. So check out how new buttons keep the customizations you already made. I was recently helping out the site and was itching for this update. So this shows off the new multi-select. This is the before. You could move it around, but you could not select specific sections. It would select all of them. Where instead, you can now do the same thing as before, where if you want to select both blocks, you can, but you can also target exact sentences, cut it, and you're all good to go. Finally, here's a slightly sped up demo of how you can transform your featured image, thanks to being able to use it in a cover block. So this features a fun photo of me with my grandma that will make an appearance later as well. As usual with the cover block, you can make it your own, adding in the post title block, customizing the opacity, and changing the height. So you'll see all of this in display. So I'm going to adjust where the location of the post title goes. I'll add a minimum height. I'll save it. Boom. Totally customized. Just to pause, since that was a very fast demo, this is the visual you're looking for with the cover block. There is now a new feature called Use Featured Image, and you just toggle that on to do what I did. So you can check it out there. I highly encourage you do so. All right, let's chat about list view enhancements next. So as a reminder, list view is a neat tool that helps you navigate between layers of content and nested blocks. It's really great for the site editor in particular, where more complex content comes into play, like template parts and patterns. With 6.0, you can expect a number of new features added to make this tool even more useful, including offering a default view to display structure. This makes list view less overwhelming at a glance, since before it would show absolutely everything listed out. Now it's collapsed at default, so you just see the top level items. List view will also open to the exact block you select so that you can quickly see where a block is in relation to the wider content. So even though it's collapsed, it will also open up as you select blocks. There are also new keyboard shortcuts that allow you to select multiple blocks and drag and drop or even delete them all in one go. List view will also work well with the block locking functionality, which I'll go over shortly, since it will show the lock status when you're viewing the list view. Finally, there are tons of great accessibility improvements. I want to give a big shout out to Alex Stein for his hard work and persistence in both testing and working on those PRs. Expect to have much better keyboard controls, announcements, and fixes with focus loss. Now let's look at what a few of these additions mean practically with some GIFs and a short video. So this is going to show off basically being able to select multiple different groups of block, and being able to drag and drop them to a new location. We'll watch that one more time, just get a sense of it. So selecting there, holding Shift, selecting another group, being able to pick them up and drop them where you want. Next up, this just shows off very briefly how the list view is collapsed at default. And then when you select a block while you have it open, it will automatically open to that exact location. Finally, this last one shows a video featuring a photo of me with my grandma who recently died, so I wanted to feature her. And it just shows off the locking. So you can go in, lock all, and you'll see it reflected in the list view. So let's say I want to really preserve this image for forever, I can lock it up and make sure the post-featured image always appears. Very cool, and you can see it at a glance in the list view. Next up, block locking UI. So as the name suggests, this is a feature that allows you to lock down various aspects of a block. In this case, you can prevent the removal and movement of any block you'd like. This work builds on the infrastructure set in previous releases where you could lock blocks programmatically, but not visually. This also sets the groundwork for some neat items in the future, which I'll touch on later in this video. But for example, you could also add the ability to lock down editing of a block. In many ways, being able to lock blocks also helps you preserve designs and layouts as you'd like, so it helps you protect your content while also letting you unleash creativity. For now, let's check out a very quick demo. So it's just a GIF showing off the different features. So you can see in the interface, there's a lock icon. You can click on the lock icon itself to lock and unlock things. There's also, when you're initially locking it in the three-dot menu, go ahead and hit lock. You can select all the items, whatever you'd like, hit apply, and you're all set. And for now, one thing to note is that the locking only applies to the block you select. It does not apply to every block within it. This is being worked on, but is one of the things that is not yet available. So let's say you wanted to lock the button in this GIF right now, you'd have to also lock each button in order for the locking to take effect. As with seemingly every release, design tools and layout tools only grow more powerful and intuitive. I'm about to list individual enhancements to explore. Think about how these can be combined with current options to create what you want. It's ultimately these features in combination with others that I think makes each pretty compelling. So there's a new color panel that takes up less space and allows you to see at a glance what your options are. That's the image you see here. There are new border controls that have been redesigned to offer a simpler way to get your border exactly as you'd like it. You can now change the transparency of various color options to reach a precise color and have some different looking layouts. The group block has new block supports like gap, border, margin, and typography options. You can switch between stack, row, and group variations to position groups of blocks in whatever layout you need. Finally, you can use the gap support functionality in the gallery block to create wildly different looks. So you can add space between the images or none at all to have the images flushed against each other. Let's take a look at some more demos of these features to get a sense of what they can help you accomplish. First up, here are some of the new tools for the group block. So you'll see I can select the different items. This is all already in a group block. From there, I can add padding, add a border. This shows off the new border controls. Get it exactly as I'd like. Add in a color. Voila. Next, here's a fun visual showing off the gap support functionality in the gallery block, which you can see you control the spacing between each individual image. It's pretty cool, pretty fun visual showing off how it works. Next, here's a visual of the flex layout capabilities of the group, row, stack, and variations on display. So you can see as you make the screen size smaller, there's inherent built-in responsiveness to these tools, which is pretty neat. Finally, here's one more demo showing off the ease of use of these new group, row, and stack variations that allow you to tweak layouts to your liking. In this case, this shows converting each to row blocks. before selecting the overall rows to transform them into a stack block. So from there, you can customize further, add in block spacing between them, and even switch up the variation. So that switches it to row, and transform it back to stack. All good there. Now let's chat about more patterns in more places. So patterns continue to make their mark and will now show up right when you need them in even more places, like in the quick inserter under certain conditions, or in creating a new header or footer. You'll also see an option to use patterns when creating new pages, as long as your theme has specific patterns ready. I'll demo this in a bit, so hang tight. Remember too that if you come up with a pattern you really like and want to share it with the world, you can now submit it to the pattern directory for anyone to use. So this just quickly demos the quick inserter and how it has changed from just showing off blocks to now showing off patterns in specific situations. Finally, let's talk about block theme workflow improvements. Taken together, these improvements help move the block theme world more into a streamlined space. In particular, the export feature in the site editor now enables you to export your whole theme, including all the edits you have made to your templates and styles. Previously, the export function only gave you access to your template files. This is a great change that makes it possible to build a block theme using the site editor and then have access to a zip file to share with others. Combining the more robust export functionality with the ability for themes to do more with patterns, I think you'll find with this release that the experience of both using and building themes has greatly improved. Specifically for pattern, themes can now define their own block patterns in a patterns folder, feature specific ones in the patterns directory via theme JSON, and register post content patterns to have patterns they make specific for their theme included in new flows for servicing patterns during page creation and when setting up the query loop. Let's take a look at that last one in a quick demo, as it's easier to explain visually. So in this case, before we jump in, just know that I registered 2 quick patterns set as post content patterns. This automatically means they will be included in patterns that show up when creating a new page on my site. So in this case, I open up a new page and presented with a modal showing the 2 options I made. In this case, I just made 2 really easy YouTube related patterns just for fun. I can click either one, or I could close out of it with this little X in the top. In this case, I'll just select it. So from there, I can continue to customize as I'd like. So let's say I want to fill in these details before making it my own and hitting publish. Finally, this is just a very brief look at what can be added into theme JSON in order to pull in patterns from the pattern directory. All right, now that we've gone through all the various features coming to 6.0, let's go over some quick FAQs just to round it out before diving into the future. So when does this release come out? It comes out on May 24th, 2022. How can I explore this release now? So let's say you're super excited about everything you're seeing and you want to jump in. The best way to do this is to use the WordPress beta tester plugin. So on a test site, I would not use this on a production site. You can install this plugin and set the following up so you can update the channel to bleeding edge. Constrained options, beta RC only, and you'll have instructions to actually update to the early versions of 6.0 to try things out. How can I get involved in the future of WordPress? So if there's things missing or things you're really excited about and you want to help shape, this is for you. So you can join the full site editing outreach program. So this is a program that has regular calls for testing that allows you to stay up to date on upcoming PRs and just general conversations that you might want to chime in on. And also is a great educational opportunity to grow your knowledge and learn alongside others. All are welcome. So to join, you just jump into Make Slack and join the FSE Outreach Experiment channel. I will drop more information in the description below if you'd like to join. All right, to close out, I wanted to briefly chat about the future and a little bit about the past to show how the various releases are building on one another in a really nice iterative way with a few examples. At a high level though, you can expect from the site and block editor perspective, the following items to continue to be iterated upon in future releases like 6.1 and beyond, along with various features impacting the wider core functionality. For now, let's focus on the site editor and core editor functionality. So this includes things like more design tools, better integration with patterns, an expanded style system, more options for gradual adoption, introduction of more intrinsic web design principles for responsive controls, better information architecture, block theme building and switching, and honestly more. But you can expect these things to continue. To get specific though, let's look at a couple examples of how these things have built on each other throughout the last few releases, including this one. All right, so let's talk about patterns. So with 5.9, the Pattern Explorer and the featured patterns in the inserter both were introduced, building on the foundation that patterns already have created in the WordPress space. From there, with 6.0, more integration has happened with patterns integrated in the quick insert and upon page creation. So this kind of builds on the original 5.9 foundation into 6.0. And then in 6.1 and beyond, I expect to see patterns prioritized when creating templates, patterns as sections, and integration with the pattern directory search. So as you can see, these features start out in one avenue, and then slowly over time, expect to see them more and more integrated into the overall experience based on each release. Styles, so in 5.9, theme JSON was expanded after being introduced in 5.8. The styles interface was also introduced, allowing folks using block themes to control their styles. From there, in 6.0, we've seen style variations that I demoed today, as well as expanded theme JSON tools with locking, integration with patterns, so you can actually reference patterns in your theme JSON file and more. And then in 6.1, there's tons of work and beyond around the styles engine, having a styles randomizer. So things like being able to, when you're in the styles interface, hit a randomizer button and have really beautiful design options right in the interface using the different style options. Also, the Webfonts API, which was pushed from 5.9, as well as adjusted for 6.0. I expect to see that land in future releases as well. So again, you can see this kind of building upon each other happening once more. Finally, the last option, this is about design tools. So in 5.9, there was expanded duotone support, lots of typography support and dimension controls and various blocks. In 6.0, there's the introduction of a few variations of the group blocks, the group, row, and stack option, which provides some flex layout containers, a new color panel and borders UI, which makes using all these things way easier, transparency options, and just more controls and more blocks. So the group block got a ton more tools, including border support. Then in 6.1 and beyond, I expect to see intrinsic responsiveness added to more blocks, responsive fonts, improved layout controls, and more. So hopefully this gives you a good sense of how each release builds on each other and where things are likely headed in the future. Thanks for watching. If you want to stay in touch, you can find me at nomad.blog. I have a contact form there, and you're welcome to reach out to ask questions or simply say hi. I'm also Ann Zazu on Make Slack, so feel free to ping me there too. Either way, I hope this video helped give you a sneak peek of what's to come in WordPress 6.0, and that helped you feel as excited as I do about all the new features.